Hello there. Hey, I wanted to go over some things with you that we're going to be discussing. I think last episode was episode 54. It's hard to believe we started back in April. And you're watching news beyond the news. I guess you can see that by the titles everywhere. And somehow I came up with that 20 years ago when I do my services. I started seeing, I would print off things I was seeing concerning world events and local events and national events. And I would always do it before the message. And here's a couple of things I want to be talking about in the next little while, weeks, couple weeks, 3 weeks, we'll see. And it's all relative because it is prophecy and current events. It's not all current events. These current events are just more happenings in the world if they're not relative to something that's deeper than that. The prophecy that I talked about last week um, was we were talking about Syria, of course, Turkey's part in it. Well, if I didn't know what Ezekiel 38 and 39 said, which was written 750 years before Jesus came, so approximately 2,700 years ago, and what it does is it lays out a war that will take place in the latter days. And it gives the players, there's a whole list of them in Ezekiel 38. There is Russia, Turkey, Iran, Ethiopia, which is the Sudan now, the Libya, which is Libya now, and there's just a host of them. They will come into the mountains of Israel, and it says the kings of the north. If you drew a line from Jerusalem to Moscow, you'd see it's and then now they have to cross through that line would cross through Syria. And the wild thing is that Syria was being used by China, Russia, Turkey, the U.S. as a staging area. That's where the Kurds are up in the north. 10% of the population is Kurds, which Turkey hates. And we had 5,000 troops there before we left Afghanistan. And I think that was probably a blooper that Trump made, but he pulled them out of there, which opened that up where Afghanistan and Pakistan, these other groups could come in there to slaughter them people. Fortunately, they didn't. And so I'm just saying these are all components. The Middle East it's not like Kansas and Oklahoma and Utah. These states there's two entities there. There's the Jews and the Muslims, and it is a fight to the death. While I'm making this one, as of yesterday, I think it was, the treaty was signed by and agreed upon by Israel and Hamas, but today Israel is kind of balking on it because of the way they're trying to handle it. And so nobody knows what's going to happen there yet. We say, well, what difference does that make? Well, in the last days and during prior to the tribulation period, everybody be looking for peace. I knew there was going to be wars. I mean, right now, Afghanistan and Pakistan are kind of in conflict. Of course, we know Ukraine and Russia. We know now Russia has aligned itself with North Korea. North Korea has aligned itself with that. And so there's all these skirmishes still going on between the Houthis, which are in Yemen at the bottom of Saudi Arabia. And then one good thing is that Lebanon, where Hezbollah was nested, has recently replaced their president, and he's a Christian. And so it looks like they're going to try to clear that up. But everything they try to do there to bring peace, everything starts with Israel, with the prophetic, and everything ends with Israel in the prophetic. And so it's just a absolute powder keg. Now, Iran has been weakened. Hezbollah has been weakened. Israel, God gave them a plan. They killed all the heads of their various departments in their terrorist group, and now they're all on their heels. But that doesn't mean anything. This treaty will not mean anything. These people don't want peace. They want us dead. They want Israel dead. They're not. They're not fighting just to take back some land. They're fighting to be the premier people of the earth. And it's a battle between Ishmael and Isaac, Abraham's two sons. So I know it scrambles your brain to think about all this, but when you couple that with what's going on in America, which is lawlessness. The word comes from iniquity. The Bible said in 2 Thessalonians that iniquity will abound, and it already is. Iniquity is, I'm going to do what I want to do no matter what. It's this lawlessness, people doing anything. They're not afraid. That can change during this administration. I realize that. But there are going to be other. Don't set your affection on things that are below. Set your affection on things that are above. These prophecies were given in old by holy men of God that were moved by the Holy Ghost. They will come to pass. They are coming to pass. The border is part of our prophetic problem. Lawlessness for sure is. All these phony DAs and cashless bail, no cash bail, all those different things. It's all a part of breaking down the system. See, the powers that be are ordained of God. Romans chapter 13, when you're fighting with the powers, when you're fighting with the police, you're fighting with the highway patrol, or you're fighting with the sheriffs, you're fighting with God, because these people were ordained by God. Sure, there's some bad ones. Satan was created and lived in heaven, and he became a bad man. You're not going to have a perfect place where there's no evil politicians or evil cops. It's just going to be that way. Why? Because God, the devil, and men are there. And so I want to be encouraging you as we go along to just keep paying attention. Don't be fooled by peace. Don't be fooled by a few minutes of somebody pulling the cover over your eyes. When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come upon them. As travail upon a woman with child, they shall not escape. What is sudden destruction? Well, sudden destruction is 8 days of fire in California. Sudden destruction is COVID. A sudden destruction can be anything, that happens that's out of the control of men. And we're not, governments don't have control of rivers and earthquakes and stuff. Pay attention. It's going to be a test. See you next time.